Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning back into the show. Got a big one here. Got a good guest, somebody I've been looking forward to talk to. Kyle Nix just released his debut individual album, Lightning on the Mountain and Other Short Stories. Kyle, how's it going, man? You 6 days ago, right? June 26th?
Yeah, has that been 6 days?
It,
Wow.
it's been 6 days. I'm sure it doesn't feel like it, right?
No. Yeah, I guess it is. Is it? Wow. Yeah, it went by pretty quick. If that's the case.
So, first solo album. What are your thoughts in the first 6 days? So is the work over or is the work just began?
Well, it's somewhere in between probably. There's some stuff left to do. I gotta get vinyl records shipped out to everyone, and we had a problem in the plant, and there was a part that was broken or warped or something, and they had to replace it right in the middle of getting started on my vinyl. So that's been delayed a little bit. So that's kind of the leftover business part of it is getting the what everybody bought out to them, and I kind of feel bad about it. But it's just one of those things you can't really foresee. There's a lot of problem with the making of vinyl records. It's an old primitive way of doing things, so there's going to be some problems. But that stuff like that left over from putting out the record and talking about it and all that, which is really neat. I like to be able to at least explain some things, about the process of it because it's kind of a long thing. But the other thing is just I've been writing a lot, so I got a lot of stuff stacking up here. So we'll see. I mean, that's really songs are what's next. One way, shape, or form. It's music and songs.
Yeah, man. I'm sure the pandemic didn't help the process either for records and production of anything. Kind of put a damper in lots of things. But when did you start writing and I guess putting this album together?
Um, it's kind of a two-tier question because I've been writing for a long time, but I think I really got buckled down a few years ago. We were making a long way from your heart in down by El Paso, and when we were in the studio for that, I was writing quite a bit and kind of preparing just in case we needed some songs. But I was getting at that point, I was getting better and more confident in my writing to where they were becoming something we could use. So I wanted to have them just in case. So I started writing a lot then, and then after that, I was taking like melodies from old songs that I didn't really like the lyrics to, and rewriting them and doing things like that. So I would say a few years ago is when I buckled down, but some of those old melodies are from back in 2007, 2008 when I first joined the band, and even going back into high school, I think I used some of that old stuff, and I'm
Wow.
pretty old, so it's been a while. So yeah, I did about around 2017, I suppose. It started taking shape, and it got to a point where I had so many songs I was gonna have to do something to them before they just disappeared
Sure.
or dried up.
Yeah, man. That's a long time to keep lyrics and songs, especially from high school. I'm gonna assume those were old school and on paper. So you had those in a notebook for that long,
Well,
or?
yeah, but none of those lyrics. Those lyrics got trashed a long time ago. That was teenage angst.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't need any of that in a 36, 37-year-old man. There's none of that left really. So um, I did like the melodies. I think I've always had a thing for putting together progressions and melodies. So some of that stuff still stood pretty strong. So just reworking it a little bit and making it work for what I do now. It wasn't much of a stretch. It still works pretty well. So
Yeah. So your primary role for Turnpike Troubadours, you were a fiddle player, but were you a pretty big contributor in their songwriting, or was that something more you did on your own and kind of kept to yourself?
um, composition wise, yeah, we all contributed to the composition of a song. How structurally ended up sounding. That was a part of everybody in the band. Evan and RC wrote most of the lyrics, obviously, and they're known for that. So, I did it on the side, and I grew more confident as I went along, and I knew we kind of garnered some sort of formula as we went. It seemed like these things worked that we were doing. So I think I even said it at one point to the guys, like, throwing in other styles of songwriting at this point may not work unless we start, writing to fit what we do in that band a little bit more. So I was conscious of that. I didn't want to. We were successful, and I think I needed to find my own voice before I started trying to meld to something else. Like the band, how Evan or RC might write structures of songs. So, and I feel like that's what I ended up kind of doing. Even though some of them, the Turnpike stuff obviously does rub off on you. I mean, we all end up wearing plaid and wearing trucker hats and stuff like that. So it's kind of like you get together and things just kind of rub off on each other. So some of that rubbed off on the record, and obviously with the guys, most of the guys playing on it, it'll do that. But I did have, I mean, I had to find my voice and find my style of writing and grow confident in that. So I don't know.
So this is your debut. Is this going to be something that you are going to play out and see if you want to keep continuing with? You're going to see how this goes, or are you going to try and further your career as a solo artist per se?
Well, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep putting out songs because I have a lot. I mean, I have a lot. I've been writing. I mean, during this break, I think I counted the other day, and I have 30 songs. So I have plenty. I mean, some of those are going to be throwaway songs because I was writing every day.
Sure.
But a lot of them have a lot of substance and melody and all that. So yeah, I want to keep doing that because if it's coming, you don't want to just let it go away. I'd rather just keep putting something out and seeing how it goes. It keeps you driven. You want to keep moving and putting one foot in front of the other when you're doing something like that.
Yeah.
So, um, and I've been interested in that kind of stuff for a long time. So it's good to finally be able to be in a spot to sit still and record and throw it out there and see what happens.
Yeah. Now I know I saw you did something the other day at the Canes, and I'm going to assume that that
Yeah,
was like a live show with no audience, like everything right now, right?
yeah. It was just some crew working cameras and all that, and very controlled. Everybody was wearing a mask and was pretty far away. Given that the numbers are kind of going up around, well, several states, but it's happening in Oklahoma too right now. Yeah, everything was really careful, and that was interesting. We kind of practiced leading up to a live stream the week before, like the day of, but and actually it was funny because that live we did this wide open country live stream, and Gabe came over, uh, drummed in the Troubadours, and Hank, who played steel in the Troubadours, and my buddy Haystack, who played with Jakes and Edie. It was just going to be Hank and I working on stuff, and I said, "Hey, why don't you guys come down? We'll work on the stuff, and then Hank and I will do the wide open country live stream later." Well, it ended up that they just all stayed, and we just played it, and we hadn't really practiced too much. And so the Canes thing, we didn't practice at all going into that, and just winged it. I played a Bob Dylan song at the end, and I had never played it all the way through, and the guys had never played it with me, so it was kind of funny. Um, that was a lot of fun though, and if we can get together and play a little bit more, hopefully after the numbers of people getting the virus died down and all that, it'd be really cool to be able to work with those guys, and that was kind of what I had planned anyway before all the mess happened. But
Yeah, I think people in general, including myself, are just thankful that we can see any type of music if it's live stream or not. And if it's obviously weird for artists, like you said, you don't practice a lot, and it's kind of awkward. And because like my wife and I, we watched. There were several weeks in a row that there was big country stars doing stuff on the Grand Ole Opry, and we watched
yeah,
that live stream, and they said it was real unorthodox. And then we watched like Luke Combs last night did a short segment for Wounded Warrior Project on Facebook Live, and he just did it out of his house and stuff. So, and you could tell it was real unorthodox. But so pre COVID pandemic stuff, were you intending to do kind of your own shows and do a little tour or do that, or were you just more just recording and putting out albums or the album? Sorry.
yeah. We were gonna go out. I had a band put together with some of the guys that played at Canes with me, and we had kind of a tentative plan, but it you know fell by the way pretty quick because
Yeah.
everything happened so fast. Um, so you can only hope things get better, but not for yourself, not for any kind of selfish reason. It's
Sure.
just uh, I want I know how that would feel getting back to a normal uh, regimen, in a normal day, and I know that a lot of people need that right now. So I hope that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think it ties a lot of people together, and it's a lot of fun. Concerts are something that we love to do. And my mom's birthday is August 22nd, which is the exact day that Garth Brooks is going to be in Vegas at the new Allegiant Stadium. First show they're supposed to be, and we haven't really got any updates if it's going to be on or not. So I mean, it's, right now it's not looking good, but we don't know. So, because, football season is in September and it's the same stadium. So it's like, it's going to be close, but we're hoping it pans out. So, and hopefully, you can get some shows too, once all this kind of dies down, or get to kind of move out and about. So,
Yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed.
so albums out. What are you doing now? You're obviously, you said you're pushing merch, and your vinyls and your records and kind of working on that. It's only been 6 days. So what has this week been like for you post drop? Has it been, like I said, mentioned earlier? Are you relieved from stress, or now you just kind of starting the work and kind of promoting yourself?
I mean, there's a little bit of that. I'm not too. I mean, I'm going through the motions with it, and I enjoy stuff like this, being able to talk about it, because when you're when you're cooped up and you're not getting out and getting to talk about things and just be a human being, it's kind of strange. So, um, I like stuff like this. Yeah, we've been after the record came out and a little bit before. I've been doing things like this and doing little email interviews and stuff like that. But even up to this point, I've just been writing a lot and reading and listening to new music and just trying to keep everything going on up here. And
Sure.
if your body's sitting still a little bit more than it usually does, which mine is for sure, I'm trying to keep the wheels turning and make something positive out of the negative, I guess. And luckily, as a musician, um, I mean, I'm a little bit different than some. I'm still able to um, make a living off of some of this. I saved some money and I sold some fiddles. I did stuff like that, and I'm able to sit here for a little bit and concentrate on writing and putting out a record. A lot of guys aren't, and that's hard. It's very hard. But I don't know. I'm just trying to do everything I can artistically to focus and do something positive and creative while we're in a standstill right now,
Sure.
and get this record out and try to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's a big topic that we kind of talked about earlier. And then, obviously a lot of the fans asked too. And huge Turnpike Troubadour fan. We all are. I know you said you guys are kind of on a break. Do you have any foreseeable plans for the future resuming, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Everybody's just doing their own thing right now, especially right now. I mean, RC was playing some shows, and I was doing my record, and I mean, all the guys had their own thing going on. I think everybody wants to focus on themselves right now and make sure um, we do the right thing with ourselves and our families. And right now, it kind of allows us some time to do that. So that's another positive out of negative. You got to look at it like that and not be so. You can get down in times like these, but you definitely have to look at the sunshine a little bit instead of the dark clouds.
Yeah, absolutely. You said you were writing all the way back in high school, and then I had done a little reading about you and said that your grandpa kind of got you started into playing music, and you've been doing it for a while. What Obviously most of us know you from the Turnpike Troubadours, but tell the people who are listening kind of before Turnpike how you got started, and then how you entered into Turnpike and your real journey into Red Dirt or country music in general.
Well, my grandpa made fiddles, so they were always around his house. I got obsessed with that pretty young because I was a kid and I couldn't touch the adult instrument, without adult supervision. So I had it in my mind that I wanted to learn how to do it so I could be the kid that actually ran around playing the fiddles. So I did. Luckily there was a guy a block away from me that played the hell out of a fiddle, and I got in touch with his teacher, and she taught me for about a year and a half. So I was blessed to have all these little connections happening from my grandpa to the neighbor to my teacher, and then it just, you know, fanned a flame. I love music, and then I was obsessed with the fiddle, so I started playing as much as I could. I played in bluegrass bands kind of growing up, and then in high school I caught the bug to start playing, grunge style rock and all that. So I fronted a band like that. That we played some rock music, and a little bit before that was when I started trying to write a little bit. So we played some of my original songs in the band. I'm not saying they were any good, but that's where that part of it kind of started. Then I played in country bands in college, in a little while of college there, and then I started kind of jumping into the Stillwater scene in Stillwater, Oklahoma. There was a lot of the guys that just left. The Great Divide had ran through there, and Ragweed, Jason Boland, and the Stragglers, but they were kind of all gone by the time I moved to Stillwater. So I started really walking the Stillwater scene up and down and playing every place that I could, and playing acoustic nights, and ended up with a couple of my own acoustic nights, and singing my songs. And that's kind of where I ended up meeting Evan and RC. We were at I eventually ended up playing with a fellow named Bo Phillips, and we played down. I think it was McAllister, Oklahoma, was the first place, and they opened for us. It was it was Evan, Casey Slager, our old guitar player, and RC, and maybe somebody else. But we ended up. I watched their set that night and hung out with them and talked, and I was like, man, this is kind of the music that I would like to play a little bit more of. So that kind of started. We met and became friends, and then we would play, together, a show here and there. And then I asked a couple of guys. I asked Evan, and then I asked this fellow named Clint Osmus, who's a songwriter from Western Oklahoma. I said, let's move into a house. So you want to move into a house in Stillwater, and let's just go play music all the time. So Evan and Clint and I moved into a house in Stillwater and just beat the Strip to death, man. And that's about the time I joined the band, and left Bo's band. So we definitely got after it about that time. That was when we started taking it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, yeah. Just kind of roughed it until you made it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was cool to see you guys progress and grow Turnpike itself, just because I think the first show I ever saw you guys play, or at least one of the first shows, was at Roxy's in Tahlequah for like $15. And I don't know how many people, the whole tiny venue. And then then I see you guys all over the world playing shows in Vegas, all over the country, Red Rocks in Colorado. So, and I don't know, I'm sure it didn't happen fast for you, but it seemed fast as a fan that 2 years before I saw you at Roxy's, and then you guys are in Europe, and you guys went all kinds of crazy places, man.
Yeah, we did a lot. They kept us busy. We kept ourselves busy. And sometimes they kept us busy when they didn't need to, when we were wore out. Um, were you at the show at Roxy's where the big fight broke out? I hope you weren't, because there was a big fight one time when we were there, and the whole crowd, it looked like one of those scenes out of Roadhouse. Everybody started fighting.
What'd you guys
And
do?
well, I jumped off stage and tried to break it up, which was stupid because there was a lot of people fighting. But I guess I kind of helped in a way. But yeah, Roxy's used to be, it could get kind of wild. It just Tahlequah overall.
Yeah.
When we were playing there, it could get kind of
Well, I don't. I mean,
edgy.
if no one's ever been there, because it's. I mean, I don't think it's been open for a while now, and then it's a pretty small venue in a small town. But I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I don't remember there ever being any true line of security or any real barrier between the stage and the crowd.
Not there, not at Roxy's, no.
Yeah, so I can see where it could get real rough. And unfortunately, I think the time that I went, I remember you guys a couple days later had some people. I think you guys had some instruments stolen, and you guys were pretty upset about that, rightfully so.
No, yeah, I remember that. Ryan actually got his guitar. The fans were so good, or the people that come to our shows. I don't know if I could call them fans at that point, but they would come to our shows and they were so die hard, and we had such a good grassroots movement going on that they put a lot of heat on the people that stole it. Put a lot of stuff out there, and they just dumped some stuff that they had stolen from us. And Ryan found his guitar. We found some other stuff. I mean, thrown out. It was kind of funny how that worked. Just the groundswell from saying, "Hey, somebody stole our stuff." It put pressure enough that they just dumped it.
Yeah, I've had some friends do that before. Just kind of put word out there that they just want it back. They don't want to ask any questions, and they appreciate it, and then it comes back. But that's awesome that you guys got it back. But I didn't get to go there at the time because I was not 21. But my dad bought. Oh gosh, what's the first CD called? I can't.
Bossier City.
Bossier City, yes, because it's hard to get a real copy of that anymore. I have one. It's my dad's, but he bought that at was it the bar downtown that closed down for it was only open for about 3 or 4 years.
Well, there was it changed names. It was Whiskey Jim's at one point, and then it was Crowbar.
The Crowbar, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Okay.
dad, I'd heard of you guys, but my dad brought that home and said, "Me and your mom went to this show and bought the CD at the Crowbar," and then started listening to it. And then 3 years later, 2 years later, I'm at Roxy's, and then, went to pretty much every Kane show I could go to. So, did you did you have a ever have a? You probably don't have one favorite, but some of your favorite venues to play in. I'm sure you have several, but some that would be most memorable.
Well, Canes is always special to us because it was, home state show, and it was sort of the big independent type place to play, and a lot of people would play there. Like Hank Williams. I think I've heard it said Hank Williams to the Sex Pistols. I mean, a lot of people played there. I've seen a lot of cool shows there,
Yeah.
so it was cool for us to ever play Canes. I When you're talking about big ones, Red Rocks was like a very special night when we played in Colorado at Red Rocks. That was a huge one, but that's just above and beyond. I like to play in the Moody Theater in Austin. That was a really cool place. People were always into that. And certain festivals like Whitewater Amphitheater, we would in New Braunfels we would play a festival there every summer or a show there every summer with another act, and that was always a fun one. And then particularly me, I used to love playing tumbleweed because I lived in Perry, which was right down the road, and I always thought, man, if I could get up there and play one these days on that stage, that'd be pretty cool. So, did that and then kept doing it. So that was pretty neat.
That's awesome. And you went to college in Stillwater, I assume.
No, I didn't. I actually went to the Tonkawa, Northern Oklahoma College. I went to art school there. I was
Okay.
trying to get a scholarship, or I was trying to, yeah, try to get a scholarship to Oklahoma University for art, but my grades were very poor, and my teacher suggested, my art teacher, that I should go to a junior college and build up my portfolio and make good grades if I want to do that. And I had some really nice scholarship offers other places, but I had it in my mind that I wanted to go to this stellar program in at Oklahoma. So I ended up getting sidetracked by music while I was in college, and it just sort of
Took off.
jerked me out of the whole college thing. So, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's always a risk if you want to take that leap out into the fire and see what happens.
Yeah, man, I would have loved to go to a big school, like preferably like University of Arkansas, pretty close in Fayetteville. But my mom was a professor at Northeastern in town in Tahlequah, so
Okay.
kind of get a good deal with tuition. So it was kind of hard to beat. So I ended up going to NSU, but it was good for me. Um,
Yeah, man. It's a cool place over here.
yeah,
I like
so
it.
you've been there for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, around five. My wife and I really like it. Have a lot of friends out here, and there's a lot of connections with the band. That's what we used to leave out of here. Leave the bus. Our bus driver is from Tahlequah too, and he's one of our buddies. So it all worked. That when we moved here, it was kind of the central location. This and Tulsa.
Yeah,
So
I know this is really random and sporadic, but just made me think of it when you said your bus driver's from Tahlequah. But so I had Twitter many years ago, and I deleted it just because I was on it too much. No other reason. But one of the funniest people on Twitter I followed was your freaking merch guy, dude. His tweets were so funny. Do you remember those?
are you talking about Chris? Are you
Yes,
talking about Augie? He's
yes.
such a smartass,
Oh my
man.
God, I
That's
loved
why.
his tweets talking
He's too
about.
good at being that guy, the smart aleck guy.
Well,
But
it was
yeah,
funny, and
he's funny. We had a fake account with him too that people would run just to like kind of do the same type of stuff that he would tweet.
yeah,
it
I
was it was the joke that you know even even this guy has a fake account.
That's awesome. Yeah, his stuff was great, man. I don't know why. I would just look for his funny tweets about stupid people buying merch or being typical drunk
I'm
hooligans.
gonna have
So
to tell him this. He'll get a kick out of it. He lives here in Tahlequah, so um, I'll have to I'll have to tell him all about
yes,
it.
please do. I don't know if he ever got any appreciation, but I was a fan of the merch tweets. They were hilarious. But you're living in
That's great.
Tahlequah. You just put the album out. Where did you do most of your work and recording?
115 recording in Norman, Oklahoma. Wes Sharon, who produced our album Goodbye Normal Street, he's the one that co-produced it with me or produced it, and he's done Parker Millsap. He did a record for him. He did John Fulbright's records. He was nominated for a Grammy for John's record From the Ground Up, and he played bass on that, and he played a little bit of bass on my record too, and him and RC split bass, and then yeah, it's a great place. I feel very comfortable there, and obviously I've worked there, but I know that a lot of good music has come out of there too, and I trust his opinion outside of just the country realm because I mean he was in some great rock bands back in the day and was friends with basically with rock stars when he lived out in California, and he's worked at numerous studios. He worked at in California at a studio that we did the self-titled Turnpike Troubadours record at. He worked there. God, I can't remember. Maybe the '90s or something like that. But anyway, yeah, he worked out. I mean, he has so much experience that um, it's good to have somebody with an ear like that.
Yeah,
Not just I know fiddle or I know steel guitar or I know lead guitar. He knows like a whole bunch of different types of music.
yeah, a real well-rounded musician. So
Yeah.
I listened to the album once through because it just came out 6 days ago. So it's probably pretty stereotypical, but my favorite one so far is probably Lightning on the Mountain. Also Manifesto, which I believe that's the one with the. Is that the one the Barbasol reference?
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know why that line caught me. That was good, man. That was really creative. But when you're for someone who's not musically inclined or has no idea what musicians do and how they work, and you're recording up in Norman, how does that work? Are you up there a week at a time? Are you locked in for several weeks? Are you how does that do?
Well, this one was kind of when we both had the time. I would book time when I had a little room um, to leave from eastern Oklahoma and go to central Oklahoma and record this stuff. So it was really like that. I'd spend a day in there, or like maybe 2 days in a row, and then I'd have to leave and go back. And then we just kind of put together overtime like that. Whenever he wasn't booked and whenever I wasn't busy. So it finally got there. It took a while, but and a lot of it had to do with other people. This was before COVID really hit here, so a lot of the guys were busy that I wanted on the record, so we'd kind of have to wait for them to become available and the gals to become available to come in and do their thing.
I know you said that you got a jet, so I won't keep you too much longer keeping track of time. But
Oh,
for for people listening, where's the best place to listen to your music or get your album? Do you recommend going to Spotify, Apple? Would you rather than buy the vinyl? Or I guess tell us where people can find you.
well, on KyleMixMusic.com, I have like CDs and vinyl records and T-shirts. I'm about to have quite a few more T-shirts. I've always thought that was I like T-shirts, man. I kind of used to help us do merch designs. With the Turnpike Troubadours do merch designs and stuff like
I'm a
that. So
T-shirt hoarder, so I understand.
yeah, I do the same, man. Especially band shirts. So I'm gonna put some up before too long, and so you can get all that stuff there. You can stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, all that, or you can get on iTunes and download the record and buy the record on there. Um, I before too long the vinyl records are being pressed because there was something wrong with one of the machines, so we had to repress them. They'll be available hopefully within the next couple of weeks. But I love vinyl, man. I'm running out of room for vinyl records.
Oh yeah,
But I listened to the last copy they sent me, and it sounded really good. Like the sound quality. I'm not like bragging on my album at all. I promise. But the sound quality was really cool. So if you feel like getting a vinyl record, hopefully I'll have them pretty soon. And but yeah, KyleNextMusic.com. You can get all that, and I think you can find all my social media, and then you can find your way to those ways to stream it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll make sure and add those links into the show as well so people can have it. But you said you're going to put some more shirts up. Because I was looking on there earlier today. I just saw the one shirt, kind of like your album cover, and it looked a little neon or something. But you're
yeah.
going to put some of those up pretty soon, I guess? Or should I hold off and wait to see what's coming? Or should I buy one of those shirts?
Well, I don't know. It's really your preference. I have one, two, three more shirts that are gonna come available. No, that's not true. Maybe even four. I mean, at least three more, and then possibly a fourth. And that's really, I think, all I'm gonna add is the I mean, obviously, well, the vinyl records are already on there, but really just the T-shirts for now and that one koozie, and then we'll see how that goes. Because
Yeah.
you know, you spend quite a bit of money buying stuff like that and getting it designed, or so it takes time and money for sure. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. I may hold out and look at those. I definitely want to get a shirt. I was going to get the one you had, but since you told me you might have some more, I might give it a couple weeks if you think that's
Okay,
realistic. So
okay. I'm gonna give you a sneak peek at one of them right now, maybe two of them.
please.
Give me a second so you can see. So if you like these better than the other one, then you can just wait. So I'm
Okay.
gonna take my headphones off.
All right.
Let me grab a couple of them. All right. Let me put these back in just to do it, so
Okay.
I can interact here.
Yeah, so I'm a huge t-shirt fan, which I don't know if you people are fans of t-shirts, but I have to do a one in one out policy because I have so many. I have
Okay, here's one.
Okay, I like that. So it's got Kyle Nix with the lightning bolt in the middle, says
Yeah,
lightning on the
lightning on the
mountain.
mountain. Just
Okay.
whatever. And it's soft. I can't believe I'm whoring T-shirts on here, but I haven't put them up yet. So you're getting the first
It's cool.
good
I
stuff.
I want to whore
Anyways,
t-shirts as well, so. Okay, then we got
they have all lightning all over the shit, but stuff.
okay.
Us, I'm sorry, I just said a cuss word.
Ah, no worries. So we
Uh,
got
this
Kyle
is like
Nix
that.
with two lightning bolts on the side, okay?
Yeah, and that's it. The other two, we'll see. The other one's getting printed right now, and the other one is hasn't been finished yet. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and for anyone who's interested, you go to the website and look. But so you got two with his name on it with lightning bolts, and then the one already up is you with your picture of your face. And I think I'm gonna just go with the original, honestly, because I like that one.
Okay,
That's your
it's kind of like that.
yeah. Who designed that, dude? That's so like crazy and cool with the
It's
little.
weird, man. It's this girl named Caitlin Page. I saw a painting she did of Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, and it had like a flower wreath and all this stuff, and like, wow, that is cool. The way she'd done it, it was surrealist, and I'm, you know, like I said, I went to college for art, so and I loved portraits. Portraits were kind of my thing. And I was like, oh man, and I reached out to her just to talk to her. I said, well, would you be interested in painting something for me for like my record? And she said she could, that she had time, so we worked it out, and she painted it all up for me. So it was really interesting for sure, doing the psychedelic approach to everything.
Yeah, you got like the third eye on your hat with the snake on your collar. That's really cool.
Yeah, and let me mention that it's not occultic. I had no occultic purposes or any kind of Illuminati purposes, people. All these things that are on the record are actually in the album. The song Blue Eyes, the Blue Eye, the Copperhead Snakes in a song, all the flowers around the sides, those are in my song Sweet Delta Rose. So, I mean, there's even the woods in my body there. That's all part of the record, and she did a great job of tying it in. But no, I'm not in any kind of weird secret society or anything like that.
You're not in the redneck Illuminati out in Northeast
No,
Oklahoma, so.
no, they wouldn't let me in probably.
Uh, you got 17 songs. They're all really good, man. But give us one to two, because a lot of your songs, and especially with Red Dirt singers and artists, they all have a lot of, or excuse me, a lot of them have personal meaning, and you've held on to some lyrics for years and years and years, and so pick out one to two and kind of elaborate on the meaning behind that for people who wouldn't know otherwise outside of reading the lyrics per se. Like I know Manifesto seemed like it was very military-ish with your grandfather and then you
Yeah.
per se. So
Yeah. Well, I can focus on that one for a second. My grandfather was in World War II and fought in General Patton's outfit, and helped to liberate people. I mean, did some serious stuff in his life. Some was a part of a heroic effort, and then my father was a Marine Raider in Vietnam. So they both survived and came home and supported their families and were, you know, hickories of men, just these big, strong figures. And then I'm just a fiddle player, and that's really what I was trying to explain. Like, what have I done compared to you guys? I mean, you guys really set this example for me, and I feel, slight compared to these, giants in my eyes. So my dad really gave me the option when Marine recruiters started calling the house because my attachment to his name. They really went after me.
so this is a true real story. Manifesto is really you and your dad.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. Okay.
and so my dad shut him down and told me that he would like me to do something else unless I'm just completely wanting to do this. He'd rather, since they'd already made a lot of sacrifices for me, and not me particularly, but our family.
Yeah.
He would like it if I would try to do something that I love to do if I could find that. And he knew how much I like music too, so I think he had something in mind. And I just wanted to tell that story. Like, what have I ever done compared to these guys? And yet, they've set me up on the path where I can do what I love to do. So it was just a tip of the cap, and I thank you to both of them. And oh, I think but okay, so "Lonesome for You," my song "Lonesome for You," towards the end of the record. Um, I wrote that. I was on the bus. We were touring with the Troubadours, and I had a dream. My wife passed away. I think I've told the story a few times. Um, so I walked in the bus. We have this gut string guitar, and I walked in there and wrote it like that. I mean, it didn't take that long because everything was real. Sometimes you have dreams that are just really, you can feel them. Sometimes you'll have a dream about um, how somebody fought you, and you wake up and you're pissed off at them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even real. So that stuff really, for some reason, touches on your nerves when it's really vivid, especially when it comes to like emotions like loss or anger or something like that. It just kind of sets itself in you, and when you wake up, it kind of seems real. So I wrote that pretty quick, and that was sort of how I felt. Like the loss still seemed real when I first started writing it. So what do you look forward to after you lose somebody you love? You look forward to hopefully seeing them again. I mean, that's really what that song was about. Just the real feelings behind something like that. I think um, my uncle had just passed away, and I think that was in my mind because my aunt and him were very, very close. And I just, maybe part of that unconscious thing was floating around, and my subconscious in my dream grabbed it and used it in my own situation. So I think part of that is for I wrote that for my wife, but part of it is that I wrote it for my aunt Pam, and what she was going through subconsciously. If you get that.
Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of nice insight. That's why I asked too, because people read lyrics, I read lyrics, and you think and everyone has a different interpretation of every song. And that's why music is really neat because it means something different to everyone. But it's kind of nice to hear those personal stories and you go explain in depth on the lyrics and whatnot. That's really cool. And then especially since both of them were true stories. One was a dream, but then one was, you know, kind of tied into your family's military past and whatnot. And then when I listened to Manifesto, it made me instantly think of Southeastern Sun for some reason. I love that song.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's funny you say that. I guess that's a possibility. I mean, we, it's about Evan's military family. It's my military family too. So Yeah, I can definitely see how that would, being that they both have fiddle in them and they're both the guys in the band are playing on them too. So
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, when I listened to that 2 or 3 times, I instantly was like, "This reminds me of kind of a Southeastern Sun type song," and really liked it. So I'm gonna continue listening now, and songs will grow on me. You got 17. It's a pretty big album, so it'll take a while to find my favorite ones and spend some time listening to it. So
Well, cool, man. Yeah, I hope you do listen to it. Hopefully, I'll have something else one of these days you can listen to.
yeah,
I'll be working on stuff
yeah, it's really
for
good.
sure.
I like the shirt. I like the vinyl too. That's pretty cool. I know vinyls are coming back. They made a really big comeback, and people are really enjoying those. Kind of going back to the old retro days. I don't have one, but I got lots of friends who are buying vinyl, and I know there's a lot of stores who are really pushing that, and it's back in style. It's kind of cool. So
Yeah, I like the way it sounds. I like the crackles and imperfections and stuff. I don't know. It adds some kind of realness or depth to something. It's like it's a physical thing, and it's a physical thing. I'm into all the subconscious stuff, man. I think the things we latch onto as human beings, there's a reason we latch onto them, whether we know it or not. And I think that's why some people have really not completely gotten rid of vinyl, and it's still there.
yeah, absolutely, I agree. Well, I know we're getting close on time. We've been talking. We had a good chat. You got anything else? Anything else you want to say for anybody before we jet?
I know. I was just gonna say something about everybody that played on the record. I really appreciate those guys, and if you guys could go check out their, music. There's plenty of it. I mean, the guys that were in the Troubadours. I mean, obviously you can still check out our music if you want, but anything that Wes Sharon did is great. My producer, Byron Burline. He's a heck of a fiddle player, and he's a legend in Oklahoma. He played on my record. Ian Moore. Ian Moore is a hell of a songwriter, singer, and guitar player. So if you can check out Ian Moore's records, that'd be awesome. And Colin Fox plays with Charlie Crockett, and Charlie Crockett's great. We played with those guys before we stopped playing, and we loved every time we got to hang out with them and listen to him play. Dan Walker plays with a couple of people. He's a heck of a keys player. Grant Tracy plays with Jason Boland and the Stragglers, so check out Jason's stuff, obviously. Chandra Graham and Myra Beasley are excellent gospel singers, so if you see their name on anything, you make sure you listen because it's going to be damn good for sure. Chris Jones and Isaac Stalling from Chris Jones and the Flycatchers. Great band. They have an album out called Songs for Red. You can download that about anything. And then Ken Pomeroy, she's a gal out of Norman, Oklahoma, and you are going to hear her name before too long because she's excellent. But I wanted to give a shout out to all those folks that help make this happen. They're, I mean, a huge help. Obviously, you can't really. I mean, I could sit there and play all the instruments, but that's not going to add any damn life
Yeah.
to it. So they did a hell of a job. But yeah, thanks to all those guys.
Well, yeah. Based on that, you were totally allowed to wear out your T-shirts because you just gave so many shout outs and got all the people got your back. So that's awesome. I'll definitely listen to those and hopefully people tune into those as well.
Cool.
KyleNix.com, KYLENIX.com, Lightning on the Mountain, and other short stories.
KyleNixMusic.com. Sorry, I keep forgetting that it's that.
What is it again?
Kyle Nix Music.
Gotcha. Okay. So KyleNixMusic.com, Lightning on the Mountain, and other short stories, merch, vinyl, CDs, streaming. Man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to keep listening to it. I really appreciate you coming on here, and I'm going to order your shirt tonight. So I don't know if you send that or if those are your guys, but
Dude, no, that's me. You just do it tonight, and I'll pack it up and send it in the morning.
all right, brother. Unless you got anything else, I'm gonna let you go and let you, get a head start to your Fourth of July weekend. And
Dude, just thanks, man. I appreciate it. This is fun.
yeah, brother, me too.
Anytime.
I really appreciate it. So good luck, and I'll keep in touch with you, man.
Okay. Thanks a bunch.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.